Hi guys, I just decided to do this video. It's going to be my life story. So I have one older sister, her name is Eleanor, and we lived, it's called the back roads to Tramore, so it's between Waterford and Tramore. So we lived there, and for my first birthday my mother brought me and my sister on holiday to Spain with my aunt, and we went there, and when we came back my father collected us from the airport, and while he was driving us from the airport to Waterford he decided to tell my mother that she wasn't going home, and that their marriage was over, and that was it, that he didn't want any, that was it, it was over. So she was obviously devastated, and we were too young to know anything about it. And he said that he had rented a house for us in Tramore. And just remember, we came back in September, and back then, like, September in Ireland was freezing, and we only had summer clothes. But anyway, he didn't care. So yeah, we lived in Tramore, and then we moved from various houses and stuff like that, and my mother got back on her feet, and she's a fighter and she's an amazing woman. So and then when I was 9, my mother decided to start fostering, because my father's side of the family didn't want anything to do with us, and my mother only had one sister, and her father, my granddad at the time, they lived in England, so it was only my mother, my sister and I. That was it, that was our family. That was it. So she decided that if we fostered, at least we would have a bigger family, and we all wanted that, so that's what we did. So we started fostering, and when I was 9, and the first little girl we fostered was a girl called Kellyanne, and she was 4 days old, and she was a pre-adoption fostering. So we had Kellyanne for 3 months. She was the most beautiful baby I've ever seen, ever. So Kellyanne was 3 months old when she was placed for adoption, and so she left on the Wednesday, and on the Friday we got a phone call to say we have another baby, and would you take him? And my mother said yes, and we did, and that's my brother. And my brother is 21 years old now, and he is mine, he is my brother, regardless of being blood related or not. He is mine anyway, regardless, and I love him to death, even though we kill each other, but that's what brothers and sisters do, don't they? So yeah, my brother is 9 years younger than me, and we got him when he was 3 months old, and yeah, we're his forever family, and he's ours forever. And we've had our problems and all that with when you foster someone that you love so much, and technically they're fostered, like my brother was technically, but he was ours, and he was just my brother, that's it. I lived in fear that he'd be taken from us. I lived in fear that the social workers, because they don't do their job over here very well, that they would take him. So on his 18th birthday, obviously we were overjoyed that he was 18 and that he wasn't taken. So so when I was 11 we moved out to Tramore, and we continued fostering, and we have had over 60, we've had about 60 children. We've had about 60 children in and out of our house in those years that we fostered, and we met amazing people, absolutely amazing people. And my mother had a best friend, and her name was Marion, and we used to foster like half of a family. Like, there could be 6 children in a family, and there wouldn't be enough room in the houses for one family, so we would foster half of the family and she would foster the other half. And this is what we used to do. We used to take half and half, because that's all we could do. who has 6 other beds. We didn't. So and we used to do that, and I loved her dearly, and she was like a mother to me as well. She was like another parent, because you know, I only had one parent. I had my mother. And then the day of my confirmation, she actually went into hospital, and the doctors all said it was a kidney infection, and she had problems with her kidneys, and they did this with their kidneys and all this, and she died. She died. Actually, my confirmation was the 29th of April, and she died on the 4th of July, and she was in hospital constantly. She died of meningitis brought on by TB, and the hospital ignored it and didn't see it and all that, or were too stupid that they didn't know. But the 4th of July is actually my brother's birthday as well, so it all has meanings, you know. She died 17 years ago. That was a big blow for me when she passed away, and yeah, it was a big blow for everyone. And so yeah, I just finished school, and when I finished school, secondary school, or high school I think you call it in America, and England, I think some places it's high school, but I finished school and I went straight into work, and that's what I did. I didn't want to go to college at that stage because I just wanted to get a job. So I did various jobs of childcare and catering and balloon modelling and stuff like that. Then I kind of just decided that I had had enough of Ireland and I had to move, and I went and I lived in France. I went and got a job. Holiday Break is a holiday company that have campsites all over Europe, and it was split up by Eurocamp and Key Camp, and I went for a job and I got a job with Eurocamp, and I was in Brittany in France, and I stayed there for 6 months I think it was, and I loved every second of it. I really, really did. But I dislocated my knee while I was there and I had to go home, so I went home about 3 weeks early, something like that. But then I had met somebody through a friend, and we were kind of seeing each other, but he lived in Germany, and I decided to go over to him, and I used to go back and forth from France to Germany and Germany to Ireland and all that kind of stuff. And then we decided that we were going to be together, and I decided to move over there. So when I was 23, I moved to Germany, and I moved there to work for Eurocamp again in a campsite, and I was a CIC, so I was the manager of the campsite, which was great. And then while I was there, I was in a place called Herbosheim, and that is near Freiburg. And then I just lived and worked there and everything like that, and that was all fine. But my main goal was to get a job in Basel. So so whenever I had my day off, because you only get 1.5 days off a week working for Eurocamp. So when I had my 1.5 days off, I would organise all my interviews for those days, and then I would travel down to Basel in Switzerland to have my interviews. So that went on for the summer months, and then I got a job in Basel, and I moved down, and myself and my partner at the time, we moved in together, and everything was wonderful, and I was working part-time, and it was all great. And like, we were together for 5 years in total. Her relationship lasted 5 years, and I'm not going to get into all the nitty-gritty stuff, but basically we broke up. I was made homeless in Germany. I was on my own. I fought tooth and nail, I think the word saying is. I fought everything that I had to fight, and I stayed there, and I stayed there and fought and survived. And he didn't think that I would have that in me, and I did, and I proved him wrong. So yeah, anyway, so I got a lovely job in Basel, and I lived in Lörrach, Schopfheim, Grenzach-Wielen, and Basel itself. So 3 places in Germany in that time, and then 1 in Basel, and I just loved it. And I used to actually work near where Melissa works, from Melissa Jane, her channel, I'll link it or something. So yeah, I used to work really, really close to there, just about 5 minutes on the bus, so that's cool. And Then my sister had my nephew and everything like that when I was living in Germany. I got so tired of being on my own and missing my family, and even on Skype seeing my family. And I saw my family be a family without me. And it was the worst thing ever. And then my sister found out she was pregnant with my niece, and I just thought, I can't do this anymore. It wasn't right for me. It wasn't right for me to stay there and watch my family, you know, have the family. And that's what I wanted. So I packed up and I left. I had to leave. I got very ill over there, and you know, I discovered that I had a nut allergy, and I was severely ill while I was over there. And again, I was on my own, and I did have friends and everything like that, but still, when you don't have your family with you and you're not well, it doesn't really matter. You just need your family, don't you? So and I was just getting over all those illnesses, and I just decided, I'm leaving, I have to go. And I left, and I'm back in Ireland 2 years now. When I did move back over here, it was very, very hard, because my heart was still in Germany. Like, I loved it so much. It was home. And because Germany was home, and I had a piece of my heart, and it still has a piece of my heart. And that's why whenever I watch videos of Melissa Jane, it's kind of like it pulls on my heartstrings, because I miss it so much. And she's walking around Basel. She's at the bus stop that I used to go to. You know, she goes over the bridge and all these things, all these places. So when you're there, Melissa, I kind of go, oh, look, because I get so excited. I get too excited, and I know that's silly, but I am. So so I came back over here, and I didn't have a plan, but I was too ill to have a plan. I couldn't even think. I didn't even know my own name at that stage. I didn't know anything. And all the friends that I did have before I left here kind of turned their back on me. So I felt alone, but I had my family. And I remember somebody close to me said to me, you're going to do nothing. You're going to sit there, and you're going to just sit there and do nothing with your life. And with that, I went online and I applied for the childcare course. And I thought, I'll prove you wrong. Exactly what I did to my ex over in Germany. I thought, I'll prove you wrong. Tell me I can't do something and I will do it. And then I got a letter for the interview for my course, for my childcare level 5, which was not last year, the year before. And I got the interview, and before I would have either hit the letter and went, oh no, I didn't really get the interview, or I just wouldn't have went for the interview. And this time I thought, no, I'm going to do it. And I went for the interview. And I found out the following day. I had the interview on the Tuesday, and I found out on the Wednesday that I had the place. And on the Thursday I had to get a bank draft, and on the Friday I started my course. And that's how it happened, just bang, 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 bang. And by the time I had actually realised, oh my God, I'm actually going to college. I'm actually getting the education that people used to say, well, you don't have an education, and all that bull that people say. I was actually going to college. I was, you know, I had my bag on my back and my books in there, and I was going, and I never even thought of it. So yeah, and then I had made some friends in there, and we decided that we were going to do the course for level 6, the one that I did last year, together. And the girl in the end didn't bother doing it, but I went and I did it, and I finished it, you know. So I think it was the best thing I've ever done to come back here. And like, I remember, that's why it's really it's hard to be here at the airport waiting for my mother and my brother to come back, because the airport has so many good memories for me, but awful memories. And that's why I got upset when I left them go, when they went on their holiday, because this was the place I left my family. This is the place that I was leaving them, and it was awful, like, you know, when I was living away. And I often did think, did I do the right thing? Should I go back to Germany? Shouldn't I? What should I do? All that kind of stuff, you know. I shouldn't have left Germany. I should have stayed over there. And then when I look at my niece and my nephews, and and look at the love that I have for them and they have for me, and how could I leave them? I can't. You know, I did the right thing. I came back for the right reasons. I came back to Ireland to be with my family, and that's why family has so much meaning for me. And I love those children, and I love my family so much, and I'm so glad that we are a connected unit. And we have had our ups and downs, by God, we have had our ups and downs, but we have stayed together, we have stayed connected, we are still a unit, and we love each other, regardless of killing each other. We can kill each other, nobody else is allowed to kill one of us. So but yeah, and I'm so glad that my mother taught me how to survive. My mother is such a strong woman, and she fought for us, for John, my brother. She fights for everyone, for everything, and she is such a strong woman, and I am proud to be her daughter. And this is my life, and I just thought I'd share it with you.